Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Christine and today I'm going to give you lesson 1 on learning how to crochet. So this involves just learning a little bit about the materials that you're going to need to get started and understanding that there are some differences between the different yarns. You're going to learn more about this as you get better and better, but just at the very beginning when you're shopping for yarn, on the packages you're going to see that there's some information listed out. Okay, so this is one of Burnett's yarns. And if I show you on the package here, we have some information. So we know that this is a light weight yarn, a category 3. And we know that they recommend a 4mm hook for this yarn. So when you're shopping to see what kind of yarn you want to use, you're gonna probably want to get a category 3 or 4. 4 is usually the one that is more popular. This one is a 4. I don't have the label for it anymore, but you can see that this one is a little bit thicker. Okay, thicker yarns are easier to work with than thinner yarns when you're first learning, because you have to figure out how to do the stitches, you have to learn your tension, and also you can see better what you're doing if you have a thicker yarn. So I would recommend a category 4. This one's a category 3, which is sport weight or lightweight yarn. It works really well for baby clothes because it's not as bulky. And so I just have an arrangement here of different kinds of yarn so you can see the difference in the type of yarn. So this one is a wool mix, so it's a little bit wool, a little bit acrylic. So if you like wool, but it's a little bit rough for you, you can take a wool mix. These two yarns on this side are acrylics. They're both sport weight yarns, and so you'll get a different look to your project if you use an acrylic. These two here, these are both cotton yarns. I have one in a worsted. Worsted is another term for category 4. So a category 4 and a category 1. So you could see the difference in the thickness. If I hold these two right next to each other, see how much thicker that one is? So this one is going to take a bigger hook than this one, and therefore this one is going to need less stitches to make the same size as something like as thin as this. You're going to do more stitches with a thinner yarn than a thicker yarn. So for that reason, it's also good to use a thicker yarn when you're starting. You don't have as many stitches to do to make a project the same size. So yeah, I'm just going to take all those away. And then this last one here is really nice. This is a cotton merino. So it's like a mix of cotton and something else. Let's see, it's 50% wool and 50% cotton. So this is all natural fibers here. And they all are good in their own way. There's not one that's better or more right than the other. Some people like to use natural fibers. Some people are allergic to natural fibers. Some people can't afford certain types of yarn, but none of that matters. All that matters is that you pick out a yarn that will work for you for getting started. Go to the yarn store, have a look around, find something that's a little bit thicker, a category 4 or a 3. You could do a 3, but I would definitely recommend your first time learning with a 4. Okay, now on the package, like I said, it's going to have the recommended hook sizes. Now I've got some hooks here in my little pouch that I made, and there are different kinds of hooks that you can get. Let's see what I have in here. I have a metal aluminum hook. I have a hook with a little handle on it. I have a very big plastic hook. Yeah, those are the ones that I have. So these ones here are nice. They're a little bit more ergonomic because you're holding something thicker. So you know, if you want to get a little bit more of a nicer set later, once you're sure that this is what you want to do, you can get some hooks like this. Here's a plastic one. I don't even know what size this is anymore. I just know it's like, oh, it's written right there. I always miss it. Okay, that's an 8mm L. So, you know, different countries have different ways of saying the hook size. I usually just look at the millimeter size, but there's also like a letter assigned, especially if you're in the USA. You might hear someone refer to an H hook or an L hook. Every letter is associated with a specific size. So this is 8mm, and that's just the thickness of the hook. This one is 5mm, and this one's aluminum. And actually, I really like this hook. I would recommend that for starting out, that you get the yarn that you want to try, and that you get the hook that's recommended for that yarn, plus 1 or 2 other hooks that are bigger. Because you can try to make samples in those 3 different hook sizes to see which fabric you like the best. Sometimes the hook that you're using is not exactly going to come out the way that you want, even if it's the recommended hook size on the pattern, on the label. It really just depends on how you want the fabric to be. If you want the fabric to be a little more stiff, maybe a dishcloth, and you want it to be nice and tight, or if you're doing like a scarf and you want your fabric to be very drapey, you know, you won't want to use the recommended hook size. You'll probably want to use a bigger hook. Okay, so these this is what I would recommend. Then I would recommend that you get some aluminum hooks and some maybe acrylic or wool blend yarn in a category 4 to get started. So that's lesson 1. Lesson 2, I'm going to teach you how to hold your hook and your yarn.